listening to Strides and Vibes. Whether you're on a long run, a lunch break, or stretching out with your foam roller, welcome to the podcast all about moving better, living healthier, and vibing higher. I'm your host, Mario Buchs, elite running coach, ultra endurance athlete, and founder of Healthetica Coaching, coming to you from the trails, tracks, and streets of Gadigal country in Sydney, Australia. Each episode, I'll bring in guests from all walks, from coaches, athletes to world-class performers, as well as doctors and professionals in their fields, to unpack their stories and explore the mindset shifts, science, and practical strategies that help us go the distance in running and in life. So, lace up, tune in, and let's move towards a better you, one stride at a time. Hello, welcome back. Welcome to the Strides and Vibes podcast from Australia and Switzerland. For the very first time, we have a lovely Swiss guest on. His name is Gabriel Lombriser, so we'll cut straight to the chase, of course. Gabriel is a runner, of course. He's related to running. He's also a running coach. We've met through a mutual friend, and of course, for me as a Swiss guy with Swiss background and Swiss roots, it's an honor to have someone from Switzerland on and talk a little bit about trail running and coaching. So welcome to the show, Gabriel.
Thanks, Mario. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you. So first question first, always, like with every guest, what makes you you, Gabriel?
Hey, good question, Mario. Good. It's not so easy to answer. I would say, I love running. I love everything about running. I love coaching. I love running myself. I love to challenge myself. I love to help people achieve their goal, their running goals, their life goals. And that's about me. And I also have a family. I have two little girls and a wife who is also a pro runner. I don't coach her, but our lives is all about running, I would say.
Good. So the kids are running as well already, or?
Just sometimes we don't make them run, but we go on hikes, and they go to school, and they love to run there, and but not they're 5 and 7, and this. Just we don't make them run, but
okay, so you don't force them. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, look,
no.
It's very interesting because I know I grew up a little bit in Switzerland, and school sports is completely different to the Australian way, and obviously the US. And I lived in England as well a little bit and watched my stepson go through school. So all the school systems, how they force kids or not force kids. I mean, it's a natural way. I strongly believe they should do what they like to do. But obviously, you're making the path, or you're weaving the path in the right direction for them when they see the kids. So back to you. Let's start at the beginning. So how did you get into running, or how did running find you? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, good question. Maybe it all started with my father. He was one of these early runners back in the 70s, 80s. And he always ran, and as a kid, I also ran a bit, but just until 10 or so, we took part at this kids competition or so. But then I haven't been running for years. I did all other sports. I played ice hockey. I played Swiss version of basketball.
Netball, they call it.
I know it's called the korfball.
Korfball. Yes, netball. It's the same.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very common here in Australia. Yeah, it's called netball.
Yeah. So, and then only when I turned 17 or so, I found myself on a mountain bike, and I got back to endurance sports. And I had friends in the sports, and this just kept me going. And I also started with orienteering, and it's a big sport in Europe. Big, not big, but quite famous. There I had a lot of fun with it, moving in the forest over the mountains, and by bike, by foot, and yeah, that kept me in the endurance sport, and I was doing it since then. Yeah.
Perfect. So we're talking about the Swiss landscapes here, and Swiss mountains are different to what we used to. So I know we have a lot of Australian listeners. We've got a few Alps here, but obviously in Switzerland and France and Italy it's different. And there's a big event coming up as well as we record this in about 10 days. The big event, the global trail and ultra scene, will be in Chamonix in France for Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc. We won't talk about that, of course, because it's all about Gabriel, but looking at the Swiss mountain landscape. So the mountains and the trails are obviously part of daily life. You said you take your little girls for hikes and things like that. So how's the Swiss landscape, the Swiss landscape shaped your way or your approach to running and training, and how does that then transfer into coaching?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, when you grow up in Switzerland, you have most likely some hills or even mountains outside of your house, and so it's really accessible. So the stadium of running is so big. You don't have just a track where you can go. You really have the whole world in front of you, and this makes it so easy. And I grew up in the Jura mountain range, so this is in north of Switzerland. It's 1,500 meters, maybe at the highest point, and there are some beautiful trails as well. And yeah, always when I went running as a 20-year-old, I always went to these trails, and there were roads as well, but I just loved the trails. And later on, I moved for studies, and now I live there in Bern. And this is, there the mountains are closer, so the big mountains, so the Alps. But also there is, you could just go out of your house, and it's everything in front of the door, and you cannot go do anything else than than just run or hike or cycle in the mountains. And this is this brought me to the sport and keeps me in the sport, I would say. Yeah.
And it also makes it very interesting from a coaching perspective. I think I coach track runners, road runners, and trail runners as well, and I guess you will do the same. But we'll come to that. What I do like, I think you need to patent that the stadium of running. That is fantastic. I've never heard that before. You look out your window, there's your stadium of running. It's that's fantastic. Yeah, I know my mother lives in the Bernese Alps as well, and when I'm there for work in Switzerland and I spent the weekend there, it's crazy. The choices you have: turn left, right, straight ahead, go backwards. It's all with mountains. Here, unfortunately, sometimes we actually have to get in the car to get on the trailhead to start, a trail run or a mountainous run. Unless you already live there, So what's one defining moment in your own running career where you say that still influences you the way you coach today? So from a coaching perspective, what happened in your running career where you say, yeah, this is how I want to coach athletes?
I don't think that there is a specific moment, but when I look back, there were also always people on my journey who I talked to, who guided me somehow, who gave a tip, who brought me on some runs, on some when we joined some trainings together on the bike, some longer ones, and you always speak, and it's all about exchanging ideas, and I think that always brought me some new motivation, some new ideas, and also I love to look on the maps and just read the maps and see where can I go, and this helps me also in my coaching journey to help people widen their horizon a little bit, so to kind of, hey, look, you could go this direction, look what's over there, and and that, I think that kind of fulfilled my life so far, and I had fun with it, and I think I would love to also to empower people to see that and to guide them through.
I just digress now a little bit because, with all due respect, you're a coach and you're a runner yourself, but you also still work. Um, you're an IT consultant, correct? If I understand that correct, or you still work in IT because you're in charge of an actual running coaching app, right?
Yeah, that's right. Maybe to my profession. So I'm not only a coach or online coach. That's what I do as well. But in my what pays my bill is I'm working in the IT. I'm working on a software product. It's called Running Coach. I'm a product manager. I'm responsible for the whole training science behind. And we have a team of developers, all based in Switzerland, and we want to bring coaching a little bit more accessible. That you can get very good training plans for your own goals on a not so expensive way as you have us as a coach,
For
So
as if they would come to us, yes, correct,
yes,
yeah,
but
yeah.
my whole experience with coaching, with the whole training science, which I can bring in there, and with our developers, we make that accessible. And this is where artificial intelligence also plays in for sure. It has been there for almost 15 years, our program, and we always developed it. And in the last years, for sure, AI came in, and it also helps us to make the program easier, to analyze the workouts even better. And it's a good way to combine the training science with the IT, and that's what I love with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. I know a lot of people who use apps, and I will certainly mention your app when we or in the show notes. People can go and have a look. I know there's a free version as well if people want to try it out for 2 weeks. I work the same way when I take on new runners. I always give them a test phase because every coach has their philosophy, right? I have my own. People know how I coach. People who've been in and around me in my little coaching career since maybe 12, 13 years now. Um, so every coach has their signature in a way. What would you say is uniquely Swiss or Central European about your coaching style? Because I know that Australians and American coaching and European coaches are a little bit different. So is that because you travel as well? I know you travel for races and with your wife and stuff like that. So is that a unique thing about your way of coaching, do you think?
Um, in general, I think the Swiss way is a little bit less volume than you have in the Australian or even American way. I think it's more about quality. And that's definitely the way. I think also when in a everyday life, we don't have, people usually don't have too much time to train. Then it's good that you make the best out of your time you have. So you usually can't go running every day for 2 hours or even cycle. And I think also the alternative sport, so cross training, is also a good part in my training philosophy. Also strength training, and I know that there's not every coach who makes that or who brings that into the training plan. And I think especially for people who want to run longer distances, this is key. Yeah.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, I was going to talk to you about strength training and cross training as well, but you've touched on something very, very important, which we seem to forget. And we live in the Southern Hemisphere, and we can run 12 months a year. This is a problem.
Yeah.
Right? We can physically run. I mean, we've had some bad weather now in Sydney since 3 weeks. It's been really heavily raining, but never bad enough that you can't go out for a run at any time of the day. So I have that discussion with my coach, Gary Mullins. He's been coaching me for probably 7 or 8 years now, and we have our own run club called TRT. And we talk to our runners about that. Sometimes they say, oh, I don't have time to take a week off. I says, in the Northern Hemisphere, they have 3 months off because it's like you can't go running on trails or even on roads. It's too icy or too snowy, So you've mentioned cross training, and a lot of people don't go skiing, cross country skiing, ski mountaineering, and things like that. I think that's a huge difference compared to what we do. I mean, you also mentioned the volume. I follow a lot of European style runners or European runners. They definitely run less than the American version. It's all about 100 miles a week and 120 miles a week and even 200 miles a week and some silly stuff. But I'm not here to judge this. I see that people break, especially if they don't do any strength work. I'm a big fan of strength work. I started off as a personal trainer before I became a running coach. So I wanted to understand the anatomy of the body. So, quality over quantity, typical Swiss way. I love it. You've already mentioned you're balancing science and data. And of course, I presume you combine science with the data and listening to the athlete, right? So how's
Yep.
this? Yeah, how does that work in your practice?
So when I coach people, that this has all influences all. I think in general, listening to the athlete is also very important, and yeah, you cannot always read from the data that yeah, everything went well. I mean, you see that he or she could run at the pace, and you see the heart rate, but yeah, that doesn't tell you the whole story. I mean, you never know if everything is good in life, if you had a good night or a bad night, and or if you had to pressure to do the training in the whole working day. So I think speaking or just writing to the athletes, I write a lot over WhatsApp or email. This is so important to get the feeling, to how is everything. And yeah, that's important. This is also something we know, we want to bring into running coach, the online system, that we can react more on feedback and not only on buttons how you felt, but also to kind of ask with the user. And this is yeah, there we can get closer to a real coach. And this is also what I experience as a real coach. Yeah, this is so important. Also to define the load for the next week, to define the intensity, and yeah, it's just key.
You speak from the heart, from my heart. This is so important. You can see the pace, the distance, but you don't know how the runner felt. I have an example, just a very current example of one of my runners. She ran the same workout within a week, same distance, same pace, heart rate 10 beats higher the first time round. This week, no problem. So we spoke. She said, look, when I did it the first time, there was too much going on, kids, school, blah, blah, blah. This time I was more relaxed. Boom. You do not see that on the data. Yeah, you see the heart rate, but you don't know why. Sometimes it's hot, then the heart rate's a bit higher. But yeah, this communication is key. I fully agree. With all the data and all the technology out there, I fully agree. Very, very good. I mean, I've also got some personal questions, of course, personal to me, because I'm obviously always wanting to learn and give our audience an opportunity to understand this better. You've been in the game for a long time. What separates a good runner from a great runner? Is that something you can see? Yeah, that's good. Will always only be good. This one can become great. Is there things in attitude, in behavior?
I would say in running, it's there. You need some talent, you need a good body, you need yeah, most of the time strong legs, and depending on the course you want to run. But what really helps, and what I see, what made great runners great is the attitude. So the consistency that you can train over years, with less bumps, I would say, or uh, phases where you can't train or where you don't want to train because just you don't get the motivation. But just the years of training, the consistency, this is key. And I mean, everybody can train over 3 months to a goal, and then you get to a certain level and achieve the kind of the relative potential you have there. but then continue to the next goal and don't have a break for 2 months and to get some motivation back. I think this is the difference between a great runner or a world class runner and a kind of recreational runner who just goes from one goal to the other. And this is also a part of our work as coaches to guide people from one goal to the next and to make up the horizon and see what's a possible next goal. Or it doesn't need to be a competition goal, you know. It can be to get some more speed in the flat. It can be to do an own run with 2,000 meters elevation, or just to achieve something new. And I think to give people a new goal is so important.
Yeah, the word guidance is so important. That's what we do as coaches. You know, we guide people along. I've said this many times on this podcast. Everybody's motivated in the evening until the 4 a.m. alarm clock goes off, you know, and then people suddenly lose their motivation a little bit. I also, you know, I talk to a lot of coaches who coach elite athletes as well, and they actually say sometimes the elite athletes are the easiest to train because they're just their attitude. It's nobody's job really, right? There's not too much money in what we do in terms of running and stuff, but they do understand that it is somehow their livelihood and their job. Would you agree that, you know, sometimes because they have less stresses around them, that they're easier to coach than the recreational athletes or just your everyday athlete?
No, I mean, and there's not many runners who can live from running, you know. Then they don't really have less around. I would say also when I look at my wife Judith, she has the whole family around. She's also coaching, and there's so much around, and she needs to be everything under one hut, and this is so difficult. And I also see that with my athletes. I have some elite athletes I coach. It's not easy life. They have education, university. They have a job beside, and not everybody can live from the job. So this is not easy. But sometimes I think for elite runners and also recreational runners, it's more about standing on the break. You know, it's not about putting more training in, so rather less, and kind of say, no, you don't go for 3 hours now. 2 is enough, and or today you can skip your training. It doesn't make sense today. So it's a lot about that too. I mean, when we see that there's so many runners out there who are all the time injured, there's something wrong, you know. I mean, we cannot. You shouldn't be injured, or maybe when you have an accident, but from a stress fracture or anything else, it shouldn't happen. I mean, there's either too much training or wrong nutrition, but yeah, shouldn't.
Very good. Yeah, really. Yeah, we're hitting the nail on the head. You're talking to a guy here who's had 2 stress fractures in the same place. Until we, you know, had to dig a little bit deeper to understand where it's coming from. And in the end, there's a bone mineral density issue, and I've written about it, and there's blocks there and stuff like that. So it's definitely not about my journey here, but I had to learn a lot. Yeah, nutrition changes, absolutely. Recovery. I strongly believe there's no such thing as overtraining. I think there's a lot of under recovery happening, because I don't think we can actually overtrain. Something will switch us off immediately. But I think under recovery is definitely an issue. And you've hit the nail on the head. Sometimes you skip a day. My athletes are not allowed to make up a run. So if they miss today's run, that's gone. That's in the past. We're not making up the run tomorrow and double up, because otherwise, why did we even miss today? Because there's a reason, like you said. Sometimes people's bodies just talk to them, you know. So
I mean, for me, that depends. I mean, for me, in my case, this can happen, that you maybe don't have to the time today. But I mean, when you're not training 10 times a week, you can move the training forward, but you have to adapt the other trainings as well, and that's That's important to know.
Very important. Yeah, good. No, I like that. I mean, in my case, it's when they're already running 7 times a week. It's like you miss one run, it doesn't really matter because it'll just load the body differently again. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting to see how this is where this coaching comes in, because it's very personal. We have to understand what people go through, and listening to your what you're saying about your elite athlete wife, being a mother, a wife, and a coach as well, and running a lot of kilometers, of course, up and down the mountains. So if you have one advice, right, to a recreational runner, one piece of advice to instantly improve their training. So I'm not after the magic workout because the magic workout does not exist, but one advice for a recreational runner that they can already put in place immediately. What would that be from you, Gabriel?
Yeah, I would. It's always difficult to give general advices, but in general, it's what I said at the beginning. Yeah, don't forget your strength training when you run longer distances. Is this the better your core is, the better you can maintain the impact from your running. The less you get tired, the less you get injured. So this is definitely a big part, or a good advice. And also, yeah, train for your what you need to be good at. I mean, when you want to run a 50 miler, you need to be able to have a really good base, and then don't run too much in zone 3. You need zone 2 maximum. So, but also, I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't have to do intensity. you definitely need to do intensity, but and this also lifts your potential higher to run faster. But it's just the ratio is not that big.
There are too many people, and this is I spoke to Isabel about this, the last running coach, Australian runner and coach, about this. People run too fast on the slow run and too slow on the fast run because that's zone 3. Yeah, everybody just kind of after 2 kilometers they just get into that zone 3 and they sit there and then they wonder why they don't improve. Yeah, very good advice.
I mean, the problem is there also. I mean, this is when everybody who starts running, they want to feel something. You want to sweat, you want to be tired when you come back. But at the end, you need to what you said, do the easy runs easy and the hard ones hard, and then you have a good balance in your training. And this is so important.
Yeah, because otherwise the heart rate's always at the same place, 145, done. The hard thing is not running at a high heart rate. The hard thing is getting people to run at a very low heart rate. I'm a math guy, Maffetone method. So people know this, Dr. Phil Maffetone. 180 minus your age is your easy running. Again, I'm not an evangelist. People believe in it or they don't. It doesn't matter. You can also go and test it, which costs a lot of money, of course. So we've spoken cross training, strength training. I'm like, you're all for it because we also age. I think 22-year-olds are, they get away with it a little bit, but I see it with my juniors. Even I send them to the gym because you just need to be strong. Even 1,500 meters, 800 meter on the track. The guy who wins, he's just stronger. It's not just about pure speed anymore. It's like if they're strong enough to do the training, to put the mileage in, they have to put in even at a younger age. And I'm not a high mileage guy, but they still have to have like a certain mileage every week. It starts from an early age, this strength work, and it doesn't have to be heavy lifting, but just kind of mobility and this kind of stuff. Yeah. So very good. So how do you see the running culture in Switzerland at the moment compared to other parts of the world? That would interest me. How does that look like?
It's a good question. Running has been big here since the 70s. I mean, it came after the wave from the US. It all started with a lot of different runs in the country or competitions. Nowadays, it's turning more into trail running, what I like for sure. And there is more of trail running coming up. training wise, I'm also a national coach in trail running and mountain running in Switzerland. I think I haven't mentioned that. What we see a little bit the problem in trail running is that we don't have the a good foundation to coach young people who want to do trail running. So we always only have the longer distances. We have the mountain running from bottom to top, which is most of the time 10 kilometers, 1,000 meters climbing. And then we have the trail running where the shortest distance is most of the time 15 to 20K. And this is not what we want the young people to run. I mean, I think in Australia and also in the US, it's a little bit different. And young people, they looked at them, people look at them and say, wow, this is great. But this is not that we want. This is not good for the young people to run these distances, We need to make them run on really technical, fun trails, but short, under 16 runner, they shouldn't have competition who are more than 3K. We also don't let them run on the track for 10K. No, this is stupid. So they should have the fun courses, which are super short and technical. This is what we can develop at that age. Is kind of to be fluent on those heavy trails. And you cannot, when you start with 40, you cannot develop that quite well. So
that's true.
That's what we need to develop. So the technique, the running technique in general, just the normal running style on the flat, but also running downhill on very technical trails. This is where people make the difference nowadays, also in trail running. When you look at all those races, it's not made in the uphill. It's nowadays you need to be super fast in the downhill.
Yeah.
And you can only do this when you start young. Otherwise, you're always scared when you only start.
Absolutely. It's a fear thing. Yeah. I mean, give me a technical trail downhill, I'll get overtaken by so many people, and then obviously running uphill is a complete different energy system that you use, and you don't have to. Fear doesn't even come into it. This is a very, very good point. I like that about the youngsters. This is a very responsible way of coaching young athletes. I think this is very, very important. And that thing 3K is enough, because it'll take them 20 minutes probably if it's really technical, or even longer. And I think that's a fantastic way of doing it. So are there a lot of youngsters coming through now in Switzerland to do this?
Coming more and more, and we also work on that. So we organize camps from the federation, from Swiss Athletics. I started that 5 years ago, and it's working very well. And we also see that the level rises a lot in trail running for the youngsters. And next year, with the federation, we try to build up a kind of a race series, that we promote those shorter runs for youngsters, and have a series where you can get an overall win, or just to attract more people, to make it more accessible for young runners.
Yeah, you can also. It's also easy to organize, if you want to organize a 50-mile event as opposed to a 3K event or a 5K event. It's a lot easier to organize. You can start, finish a loop, and there's so many trails that loop up again. Now, this is something that I'm a big fan of as well. This is what we're starting in Australian trail running as well. We want to attract more youngsters, and this is some good information for us here. So, because here it's all about long. The shortest distance at the biggest trail running event in Australia, which is the second largest trail running event in the world, is UTA, Ultra Trail Australia, and the shortest event is 11K.
Mm-hmm.
So youngsters have to run that. I mean, there's a road event, 2.5 for kids during the day, but the shortest one is 11K. This is a good point.
Yeah. No, this is so important, and this is what I see, and also about the philosophy about longer is better. No, this is not good. I mean, you can also have great athletes who run for 1 hour full gas. This is difficult. It's what is more difficult, to run a 5K in 15 minutes or a marathon in 4 hours. It's I mean, you can just take any distance and try to be good at that. But I think a little bit the social media made also a lot about this, that the longer the better. But this is not true. You can be every runner, if it's a beginner or a already advanced runner, try to go on 20K runs and do this as fast as possible. It will also help you later to when you want to improve on longer distances. You need the speed. You can train more on the technical skills when you run really fast, and it's not all about hiking 100 miler. It's you're still trail running.
That's absolutely, yeah. Hiking 100 miler, yeah. This is, I mean, people who start later, the trend is definitely going towards ultra. There's no doubt. You've got some famous races, and people they run a marathon, and instead of 20 years ago, people ran another marathon to see if they can improve the time, and then they get a coach to say, what can I do, and so on. Now it's like, I've run a marathon, tick. What's next? 50K, 50 miler, 100K. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where it's going, But I fully agree. My 800-meter runners, they don't have to do 1K repeats on the track. They need to do 200, 300, 400 meter to get that speed to then maintain over the 800 the speed or the pace they need to do to reach their goals. And the same is with marathons, Many of my marathoners never run the distance in training. There's no need for it. There's a certain, depending on who they are. And I guess this is kind of your philosophy as well. It's hard to run a 5K in 15 minutes, right? But you can kind of jog along for 3 or 4 hours because completely different energy system. No disrespect to people who run 4-hour marathons. That's where I started as well. And many people start that way, especially the ones that start later in life, of course,
Absolutely, yeah.
So, look, we're rounding out here because this has been really special and great information for me. When you coach a Swiss athlete now, right? I've only got 1 or 2 that I coach in Europe, and some are like doctors and kind of really geeky, and they love that running is not scientific at all. They can just leave it to me, and I can kind of coach them along and guide them along. So in general, the Swiss are known for precision and structure, of course. So do your athletes thrive on that, or do you bring in more creativity just to make it fun for them? What's your approach there? Just as we round this podcast out.
It's a very good question. It always depends on the athletes, I have athletes, when I tell them, hey, go 70 minutes, an easy pace, they will be back home at exactly 70 minutes. So they will just stop there. and others, it just doesn't matter. And for me, it doesn't matter if it's 65 or 75. That's the same. But in general, what I guide the people is also kind of learn how your body feels, that you don't have to always watch on your watch and see what pace, what heart rate you are. You need to learn how your body feels and to go on more on perceived effort, and I think this is quite important. Otherwise you get a slave of your watch, and this is not about running. Running should be free. You should be just out in the forest, in the hills, and be free, and just kind of go about the goal you have. When it's 2 hours easy, then you go easy. When it's about race pace, race pace for shorter distances, you go faster. And when you go threshold, you should also kind of feel where your threshold pace or effort is. And at the beginning, you need your watch, and also it's also good to watch afterwards if you were in. But in general, it's really important that you feel it and learn to feel it.
It's a fantastic point. RPE, rate of perceived exertion, it's the biggest problem for everybody, I'm always kind of learning that, and I'm lucky to have a coach that guides me along on that as well, I have a workout tomorrow, quite interesting. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute is half marathon feel, 1 minute 10K feel, and 1K hard, and then back into half marathon. And it's all about my feel, not looking at the watch. And then it's going to be interesting at the end. How did I do? I think it's 8 or 9 times the same thing. But you're so right. The watch sometimes, I would say 90% of the time, is just the upload mechanism to Final Search, Training Peaks, your program, Strava, whatever it is. The rest is just a timekeeper, and it's good to have. And sometimes some workouts are good. You can program the watch and it beeps when you have to go again if you don't have a track. Not everywhere we have access to a track, of course, So we've spoken about the growth of ultra running. It's a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing if it's not managed properly. Too many young people want to run too far. Absolute great information, and the mindset is fantastic of you as a coach. And you're still learning. So what's keeping you in the game? You've been in the game for such a long time. What still fascinates you in as a coach? What makes your blood flow nicely?
I think it's always good when you have the feedback, from runners you coach, that it's less about the spoken feedback. It's more about the emotions you get from these runners too. When they achieve their goals, when you see how happy they are. When they just train, this is one thing. When they're training, they have a good base, and they realize, hey, I'm getting fit again. I coached this one guy who's in the 50s, who was kind of he worked 60 hours a week, and now he changed his life, and is all into running and cycling, and he feels so good. He says this is a new life, and when you can get that feedback and that also makes us coaches going. I think when you see people reach their dreams, and you can help them for a better life and achieving their goals, and this is good to see.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Closing out, 3 last questions, just quickly. Track or trail?
Trail.
Thought so, huh? Morning runner or night runner?
Evening, night.
Okay. Nice. And last, it's a bit Swissy, chocolate or cheese?
I love both really much.
I thought so.
Dark chocolate.
Excellent. 85% upwards. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's my thing as well. Yeah. Look, Gabriel Lombriser, thank you so very much. From the bottom of my heart, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I am very grateful for you to come on and give me the time. We've done 40 minutes. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thanks, Mario. Next time we do it in Swiss German, right?
I promise. Absolutely. It'll be a blast for all our Swiss audience, huh?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you.
Have a good one. Ciao, Mario.
That's it for this episode, folks. As we wrap up, I want to honor the traditional custodians of the land I'm recording on and pay my respects to elders past and present. May we continue to listen, learn, and tread lightly wherever we run. If today's episode sparked something in you, hit that share button, leave a review, or drop a comment on Spotify or YouTube. Every little bit helps keep the momentum going. Or even if you've got a question, feedback, or just want to say hi, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep moving, stay curious, and never forget, showing up is the hardest and bravest stride of all.